So, on November this year, 2021, the famous and successful franchise of books and movies, Harry Potter, celebrated 20 years of the release of the first movie, The Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. For celebrate this month, I decided to read the books for the first time and rewatch all the movies again after more than 4 years without watching it. While I was rewatching, for my surprise, I realized that, differently from the time I watched Deathly Hallows Part 1 for the first time, and this time, I actually really enjoy it. The fact that I really enjoyed the movie from the beginning to the end made me reflect about what went so well that made me had such a great time watching it. But before I talk about what made me enjoy the movie this time, I need to make things clear, alright? Look, I understand that Harry Potter 7 is not the greatest masterpiece of the filmmaking, and it's not even my favorite Harry Potter in the movie franchise. So what I'm trying to say is that I understand the point of those who actually didn't like the movie, and they are completely fair. But in the way I see it, Deathly Hallows Part 1 was and still is unfairly massacred as a terrible movie if we talk about the whole movie franchise. The whole point of this video is show you guys that this movie has not just good things, but actually can be very enjoyable. Well, at least more than the last 3 movies before it. But whatever, let's go to what really matters. First of all, I think it would be good to remember the plot of the movie. So, in the last movie, The Half-Blood Prince, Harry and Dumbledore discovers the Horcruxes, magical objects which are able to guard part of the soul of someone. He also discovers that Voldemort made 6 of them, and to kill Voldemort, they need to destroy every single one of them. After a big mess, Snape kills Dumbledore, so Harry and his friends, Hermione and Ron, have the mission of find the Horcruxes and destroy all of them. Long story short, resuming the plot of Deathly Hallows, Harry, Ron, and Hermione basically are trying to find the Horcruxes and what can destroy them, while they are hunted by every single wizard in the world. So, now that we refreshed the plot, let's talk about what made this movie so enjoyable to me. As I see it, part of what makes a good movie is understand the tone of it, and Deathly Hallows makes this pretty well. The first half of the movie set the tone and shows to us what we can expect of it. At the beginning of the movie, Harry will be transported from the Dursley's house to the Burrow, and for this happens, they had to make sure Harry will be safe. Remember what I said, right? Harry and the others will be hunted in this movie. So, at the beginning of the movie, we already have a problematic situation where some of our favorite characters could be in danger. The first 15 minutes of the movie are complete chaos where during the transportation of Harry, looks like everyone probably will die or is already dead. We prepare ourselves with the death of Edwiges, and after a great scene of battle with Voldemort and his Death Eaters, Harry arrives at the Burrows. The movie still don't take a breath, and the others start to arrive. First George, hurted and without an ear, and then the others, bringing the revealing of the death of Moody and the traition of someone about the mission. But I actually think the best thing that besides this first 15 minutes could exemplify the tone of the movie is the reaction of Lupin when he meets Harry at the Burrows.
What creature sat in the corner the first time Harry Potter visited my office in Hogwarts?
Are you mad?
What creature?
Grindylow!
The direction not already made a great beginning of the movie, which also, I have to say, has some great shots and inspiring moments, but also settled the tone of the movie. This is the real war. We were always used with the sensation of protection that Hogwarts and principally Dumbledore always brought to the plot during the franchise. But in this one, we were not even in the first 30 minutes of the movie and we already had some great shocking scenes. Looking ahead, we still have the marriage scenes, the invasion during the celebration, and the attack in the coffee shop. I don't know you guys, But in this movie, I actually really had the sensation that they were actually in a war, where everything is complicated and hard to do, and differently from the other movies, which everything could be solved with less problems. In this one, the sensation is that everything is more difficult and has more consequences, from the words said to the actions chosen. And I just have this sensation for one reason. The movie understands his tone and it's efficient in establishing it in the first half of the movie. I need to say that it's not just the plot of a movie that makes me love it. I personally have the opinion that a simple plot with great character development is more than enough to make me enjoy this story. And Deathly Hallows Part 1 is exactly this type of history for me. This movie is obviously not a great masterpiece of character development, but surprisingly, Dua proposes to do pretty well. On this movie, differently from the last three in the franchise, the trio is again the important part of the plot, and the core of the development is totally and exclusively around them. I could say that their storyline is defined by choices. Now, look, I didn't forget about the first scene of the beginning of the movie, but I actually wish to talk about them now. The first montage shows us pretty well about all they have to leave behind in this journey. Harry, now without Dumbledore and just with the mission left by the director to complete. Hermione, and the hard decision of obliviate her parents and leave them behind because of the danger in the path. And Ron, and his difficult choice of leave all his family behind without knowing if he will see them again. So yeah, we could say that this movie is specifically about the war and the effects of it in the wizard world. All the development earns strengthness while we watch the trio and their conflicts with the choice and the path. I think we could say that Ron is the perfect example of their state of mind during the journey. While Harry and Hermione actually had no one waiting for them or in dangers, well, let's remember Hermione's parents are no wizards. The decision of Ron can be said as the hardest one. We can say his conflicts are authentic, and his doubts about the journey to find the Horcruxes are pretty fair. Add to this his misunderstanding feelings for Hermione, and you can have a character which is lucid in his own doubts and fears for his parents and for his friends. He grows as a character when he gets back to them and understands that they were always a trio and it would always be just them for them. So no matter the difficulties in the journey, he couldn't split the trio and let Voldemort win another one. And his feelings were also very exposed when he destroyed one of the Horcruxes. And while Ron grows with his own doubts, Hermione is already a solid character that understands what she had to leave behind and the cost to find the Horcruxes. She has feelings for Ron too, and they both are stuck on show or not each other what they're feeling. But it's not with Ron that she grows. Hermione and Harry here are presented with the definition of a solid friendship. While Ron doubts about their relationship, both of them actually consider themselves as brother and sister, and when Ron takes the decision to leave them, Hermione and Harry grows as they never explored do. As I said, Hermione understands the price of winning Voldemort, and she's not disposed to give up on the mission. And for me, the perfect scene, and personally one of my favorites in the franchise, shows to us in a perfect way her feelings.
The train that goes to the kingdom where happy more, where a happy flows beyond my wildest expectations.
The dance with Harry shows someone who actually understands the difficulties in the path and its compromises would help Harry, but at the end, she still feels for being abandoned by her friend and by her love. That's actually the scene I most enjoy in the whole movie, even more than the battle in the first minutes. Also, I would like to mention the scene of Godric's Hollow. It's actually as much emotional for Harry as the dance scene for Hermione. But while Ron grows in his fears and Hermione in her friendship, Harry grows in his own doubts about himself. Being the chosen one, wasn't something easy, and Harry clearly wasn't sure if he would be able to destroy Voldemort by himself. Harry had a mission to find the Horcruxes and destroy them. By this way, he would be able to kill Voldemort. Nothing less or nothing more was left by Dumbledore, and during the journey, Harry realized that wouldn't be as much easier as he could thought it would be. His doubts about himself shows even more after his one break, and his arc is actually finished just in the part 2, but in part 1, something changes in his way of thinking after Hermione be tortured and Dobby's death. Harry realizes that it was not just him by himself, his friends was always there, and his mission wasn't a path of a lonely man, even for the chosen one. So, no matter what could happen in their way, Hermione, Ron, and Harry would be there for one another. Now, you remember I said I read all the books for the first time? Yeah, I read the books, loved it, and for my surprise, it was not just the Deathly Hallows that changed in my opinion. The entire franchise of movies changed, and I think that the books was a great part of what made me enjoy this movie. Well, while I was rewatching it, I realized that my opinions for the movies changed a lot. I still love the first two, and I think they create a pretty solid world and established a good start for a franchise. Now, Prisoner of Azkaban is a masterpiece, and it's my favorite one. Established the movies in another level, and shows us the best of the world of Harry Potter and its plot. But in the fourth ahead, I have an opinion that the director and the screenwriters don't really understand the important points in the plot of the books. Starting by the fourth one, I don't think they used the best and most important points of the plot to grow the characters and create important points in their development, especially saying about Harry and his growth as we're watching Order of the Phoenix and the Half-Blood Prince. In the Goblet of Fire, they don't show us Harry's difficulties to pass through the tests. If you don't read the books, Harry passed through a training with Hermione to improve his powers and be prepared to fight against more studied and trained opponents. Which is also an important point to understand why in the next movie he is the leader and the teacher of the Dumbledore's army. Because he has experience after the Three Wizard Tournament. While in Order of the Phoenix, which is funny to say, it's the shortest movie of the franchise, but also the greatest book. Well, in the fifth movie, they let all the plot of Harry's confusion about his connection with Voldemort and his anger with Dumbledore besides. Don't take me wrong, I love the last 30 minutes of this movie, but it was supposed to be a great moment of development of Harry's connection with Voldemort and his fears about it, but it can always be worse. Well, in the Half-Blood Prince, they simply decided to cut the Gaunt's history, literally the most important part of the book. It was in this specifically book that J.K. developed Voldemort's history, motivations, and background, but they decided it would not be important to the history, and instead of that, we passed at least 40 minutes of movie without know the plot. But whatever, it's just my last favorite movie. I like it, but it could be way better. So, as I was reading the last book, I was really curious if it was necessary to divide the last book in 2 movies, and for my surprise, yeah, it was. Look, I like Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, not just because of character development, tone, or even battle scenes, but because they corrected their mistakes and understood the point of the book. They followed the plot and his flow. They created a character development and showed the effects of war in every point of view. Well, in my humble opinion, it was a pretty solid job, and reading the books and realizing all the care with this specific plot, well, it was something else for me. But as I was doing the video, I realized that I'm sounding like if I'm trying to show the best Harry Potter movie to you guys, but it's not. There are some things that really bothers me in this movie. Starting with the last time we see Peter in the franchise, actually really upsets me, because it's way different from the books. I love all the creativity involving the explanation of the Deathly Hallows, but I don't really like the pace on this moment of the plot. I don't know, there's just something there. And as a book fan, I simply hate the way they are captured in the middle of nothing. Like, you're telling me they had the bad luck evaporate right in the place these guys were? If you read the books, you probably had the same feeling as I had. It would cost but this scene in the movie.
So where do we go next? Well, Dumbledore had a theory that the Horcruxes wouldn't be made out of random objects, and they wouldn't be hidden randomly either. We know of 3 so far. The ring, which according to Dumbledore belonged to Tom's grandfather, the diary, which obviously belonged to Tom himself, and then this, which again, according to Dumbledore, belonged to Tom's mother.
It scares me a bit, that. Thinking it's a piece
No,
of...
don't say it. It's taboo, you know whose name. That's how they track people now.
How do you know that?
Overheard some bloke at the ministry talking about it.
Tea?
Is that it?
It explains so much with this short scene. Anyways, as a resume of all I said in the video, I kinda really like it rewatched this movie. I know we were upset at the age this movie released, because we were actually waiting more of this than this. But at the end of the day, it is actually a really good movie if you understand the purpose of it. They made a pretty solid job preparing the path to the war in the second movie. There are some really good scenes of battle, the pace is good, the development of characters is good, and at the end of the day, it was really good to understand what was passing in the mind of these 3 in the middle of war. I really, heartily recommend you to watch this movie again. Give a second chance. I promise will not kill you.